you want to be assured of a traditional winter, one with cold snow and ice, head north to Canada, where winter still makes a serious commitment to the season.
Oh, Mother Nature dished out a cold one in the wild today. But that's all right. That's when conditions are best for ice climbing. I'm near Nipigon, Ontario, Canada, the premier destination in the Midwest for ice climbing. Just look at that ice. There are hundreds of climbs like this. You just have to make your choice. So let's get to the ice and get climbing.
This is exhilarating. It's really gear intensive. It's super califragile-challenging, and Nipigon is one incredible place for ice climbing.
Nipigon area has some of the best ice climbing in North America. It's got so much ice in such a concentrated area. Even compared to the Alps or compared to Colorado or ice climbs out west, Nipigon has the most ice, easily accessible in a very concentrated area in all grades, from easy to cutting edge. Most of the good ice climbs, though, are actually kind of what you'd consider seeps. Up on the top of these bluffs and on the plateaus, there's ponds, and the drainage up on top creates ice falls that come over those cliffs. So by the time you hit February, you got some pretty good substantial ice.
Conditions as good as this in a remote area needed discovery and to be explored. First ascents were made and routes became established and developed, blazing an icy trail for impassioned climbers to follow.
Most of the development up there was done by local Canadians from Thunder Bay. They discovered it, and that was when ice climbing really started to pick up as a popular sport. But from the Americans, it's Twin Cities and Duluth and Madison area are the core of American climbers that go up there frequently. In the early 90s, a guidebook was first published for ice climbing up in the Nipigon area, just a little bit north of Thunder Bay. My brother and I, we read that guidebook and thought, boy, that sounded like a lot of fun, and been going up there ever since. While there's been numerous articles in the climbing magazines, such as Rock and Ice and Climbing and Canadian publications, just due to its remoteness and relative difficulty and long drive to get there, to this day tends to be kind of a well-kept secret.
And secrets, they're hard to keep. As word leaks out and as ice climbing attracts greater numbers of participants, Nipigon is becoming a more popular destination for ice climbers.
Nipigon is very special for ice climbing because we have over 200 climbs in the area. Ultimately, we have the best ice climbing in Ontario. 25 years of ice climbing. It's absolutely amazing how many people ice climb in this area. The ice climbers that I've always dealt with are people who come from the United States. Minneapolis, St. Paul, and all those, I've worked with them for years. I've actually gone out and watched the ice climbers. They're cutting edge, they're out there. The techniques and what they do, they're absolutely amazing and interesting people. They're courageous. They always tell us we have the best ice around, and so that gets us excited. They said, wow, what ice climbing here. When you talk about things that are wows in your community, that's a wow for us.
And even though the ice climbs are located beyond the town limits, when it's ice season, the climber's presence is known.
They absolutely notice when they're here. They have to stay in our motels and bed and breakfast, and they certainly enjoy the well-cooked food in some of our restaurants around here. I think that's huge economic impact when anywhere from 90 to 100 ice climbers are coming here. We just need longer winters so we can keep the ice climbers here longer.
Ice climbing is an acquired passion, braving the cold of winter, sometimes under extreme conditions, climbing to dizzying heights on brittle, unstable surfaces, sometimes with ice breaking free and plunging in a wild shrapnel scatter below, and acquiring the skills to wear and use strange, sharp tools with fang-like spikes and tips. But when you're hooked, none of these variables even matter.
For me, I guess the best part of ice climbing is when you're in the flow and you just feel in balance and you're moving and you've got the natural feature and you're using your body to work with it to make it all come together. The adventure, being outside, being with good friends, challenging yourself physically and mentally. There's lots of ways to make it safe for the person that's never been on a rope or been climbing before. And there's lots of ways to make it challenging for people that have done all kinds of climbing that are just new to ice. The challenge can be whatever you make of it.
Be it simple or an intense experience, but this can be very dangerous. It's the attentiveness to safety of the climbers that make ice climbing as safe as possible. So climbers work together as a team to keep each other safe.
There's no stress once you know what you're doing, as long as you keep the safety aspects in mind. Obviously, you're going to have a lot of sharp things on in ice and gravity. So as long as you're mindful of that, you can have a lot of fun just challenging yourself and being with your friends outside.
So Some climb for the thrill and the rush. Many climb for the challenge, while others climb for the beauty and interesting sights and views. With good reason. The scenery and environment are incredible. These features are beautiful and delicate and constantly changing. That's what I find extraordinary about ice climbing. The challenge of climbing is rewarding, but being in a surreal environment like this is not an everyday experience. And reasons for ice climbing are different for everyone.
The premium part of ice climbing is the camaraderie. Getting out there, doing something that's generally out of the ordinary, but off the beaten path, and doing it with good friends that you trust. Essentially, you're trusting your life to. It's different than rock climbing in that, to some degree, you're removed a little bit through the equipment, whereas rock climbing, you have actual contact, tactile contact with the rock. You have a little bit more feel, literally, for what you're climbing. With ice climbing, you're more removed. You're using ice axes and crampons, and so you don't have really a direct feel for what's going on. And so sometimes you can only build that confidence that you're going to actually not fall off, or this ice isn't going to shatter and break. You just get that through the experience. And you just know that, yeah, this is going to be a good climb, it's going to stick, and I actually am safe. I think ice climbers in general tend to be really any adventuresome, outdoor-oriented person. I think it's just a natural progression. Once you start climbing, ice climbing is the natural winter extension of that. You really have to manage your fears. It's a human instinct to be afraid of heights, and it's just a question of managing that and getting good and learning the ropes slowly and not trying to bite off more than you can chew at the beginning so you can do it safely.
For each of us, there are places in our world that over and over deliver a unique and memorable experience.
You start climbing up there and you feel, boy, it really is steeper than you thought. And then you just start executing your plan. There's nothing better when the climb goes as planned, with sunshine on a sunny day, and you're just interacting with that wilderness experience and the ice. That's just what keeps you coming back.
For more information on Life to the Max, go to our website at lifetothemax.tv.